Good evening, and thank you for joining me on Swagger today. What's going on? I am your host, Kathy Blaze Jefferson, and today I am so excited to have with you Coach Belize Spivey, the STD Life Coach. Welcome.
Welcome. Well, thank you for welcoming me here. Thank you for this opportunity. I can't wait to talk to you.
Girl, it is such a pleasure to have you today. We have some stuff to talk about today. The
Mm-hmm.
STD Life Coach. I want to read a little bit of your bio so that our audience know where you're coming from, who you are, and what you're all about here. Belize Spivey, the STD Life Coach, inspires millions living with herpes through education, support, and stigma-free conversations. She is the author of Overcoming What Can't Be Cured and founder of Vanquish Care, the first Black-owned herpes product line making a global impact. Welcome, congratulations, and thank you for all that you're doing for our community, our people, individuals that are living through some of these healthcare issues, concerns, and a lot of time the stigma of that, being isolated and alone and may not know all the information that you have prepared for them that you can assist them with. So, welcome. And I'd like to start off by asking you what inspired you to become the STD Life Coach and start Vanquish Care?
All right. So it all started with my own story. Most people will not talk about STIs if you don't have a story or you know somebody with a story, right? So I had my own story. When I was in college, I was a sophomore in college. I ended up being diagnosed with genital herpes. So that's typically type 2. Um, and literally, I didn't know what to do. I was a 21-year-old
Mm,
student. I was looking crazy. I was like, I am a baby. I'm not grown. I just learned I can just drink. I don't know anything about this.
right.
So I went in just scared, as typical. I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't tell my mom. I was like, "Oh, my mom is gonna get me," type situation. I didn't know if I would ever get married. I didn't think I would ever have kids.
Mm,
Really, just starting life, so I was terrified. And in that process, from there, I end up getting education. From there,
mm,
finding a support group. From there, I had supportive friends. From there, I end up gaining my confidence back and getting to a place where I'm like, I can do this just from support groups and the support of others, so
mm,
that I can do this. I end up having a baby. I end up getting married. And I said, you know what? Since I figured it out, let me help other people. And I know that was
yeah,
kind of one of the scariest things to do, but I was inspired because I'm like, I don't see anybody else doing it. And I'm sure if I'm struggling, somebody else is struggling as well.
of
I chose
course.
stuff out there.
Of course. And being at the age of 21 in school and having to deal with that and not wanting, I mean, it's embarrassing to
Very.
want to have to share that information with someone. And as you stated, not knowing what to do next. Am I going to be able to get married one day? Are they anyone going to want me after this? I mean, I'm sure you had a lot of questions.
I
And
did.
how did you get to the point to get to a support group? How did all that come about?
Interesting. I have to kind of age myself a little bit. And I'm not really that old, but I have to put that on me for you guys to understand. When I found out my diagnosis, we only had Yahoo.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Okay.
and so many people think Google was, no, Google's still a baby. Like, Google's still really much a baby.
Right. That's true.
9 that I found out. So Yahoo, what you can find is what you can find, or you had to go to a library and look it in a book. So I couldn't really find anything. But I just had to I was just led to like just keep looking and keep looking. So I just kept putting things into the search bar. And I was like, okay, let me see if they have a support group. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know much about support groups, but I was like, I need to find some people like me. And I said, I'm not gonna be able to process this without talking to people who get it. So I was finally able to find a support group that was like a chat group. Back in the day, everybody was in chat groups.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was able to find those, and I was very, I was used to those. I was used to being in chat rooms and things like that. So I was like, oh my God, it was like 10,000 people in there. And some people are like, oh my God, that's a lot. But now when you get in some of these groups, it's 100,000 people. It's crazy.
Right.
But at that time, I was like, oh my God, 10,000 people who get it. I didn't care your race. I didn't care your age. I didn't care where you was located. I was just happy that I was like, finally, I can get in here, get some information from people who get it, and also see that it's possible to live after it. So that's what the biggest thing. I just kept looking until I found what I was looking for.
You know what? thank God you have the strength and the knowledge to want to do all that.
Mhm.
Because you know what, being that young and getting that news that you were diagnosed with something like that, I mean, that's something, you know, even back at that time, I mean, people really weren't sharing things like that. And
Mm-mm.
let alone to have the confidence to go to a support group for help and to even to be able to talk to others about what was going on with you. I
Mhm.
mean, look, I applaud you for being able to having the strength to do that.
Listen, thank God I learned a little something when I was in school. They look for what you need. Thank God for my mentors and things like that. Didn't think I would need any of that stuff that they taught me, but baby, it came into play in my personal life, thinking it will, help me in my endeavors early, career things like that. But it helped me first personally to like keep looking because it's there. You just got to keep looking for it.
That is true.
So that
And
was one.
Coach Belize, you're freezing a little bit.
Oh, do you see me?
I can see you, but when you're talking, you just want to let you know you're freezing up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. So, how do you help people living with herpes overcome stigma and regain confidence in their daily lives?
The biggest thing is number one, I humanize it. And I think that's the first thing you got to do because it's a virus, but
Mm,
how people talk about it is like the stigma. And I know it's kind of
mm,
weird to hear, but first you realize I have a virus. And then after that, you now are feeling like you're living with the stigma alone. And I
mm.
kind of just got to realize listen, we are human with a virus
Right.
fighting the stigma. When you realize you're just fighting the stigma, you start to realize, okay, I don't have to put on that stigma. I don't have to live it. I don't have to be it. I'm just going to have to get around it and realize that some people may think that way, but I don't have to think that way about myself. So that's the first thing I do. I also get to a place I'll help people work through their psychological distress. That's the biggest thing because now, number one, they think they're nasty. They think they're
Mm,
disgusting. They think nobody's going to want me. They feel like it's the end of
mm.
the world. Some people I have met, they want to unlive themselves and things of that nature. I'm like, no, 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 no. Slow down. Only feeling like that because number one, of what you have heard, what you've been raised around, or what you have experienced through other people's experiences. And then on top of that, you just don't know what to do. So let me show you what's possible. So the fact that I've been able to kind of go through every stage all the way to divorce and back into the dating, they said, okay, if she can do it, I can do it. And that was the
Of
biggest goal of
course.
that
Of
I can,
course.
so they can do it as well. And then after that, I help people with practical steps. So I help them, okay, let's regain your confidence. Let's work through having conversations, even if it's with your family, because some people are really close with their families. They want to.
Hmm.
So I was like, I help them through that. I help them with telling their current partner, past partner, and future partner. Okay. I also help them. How do you go about now being sexually active? How do you want to go about doing that? So
Right.
conversation stuff. Like at the end of the day, you're a human, baby. You're gonna go back out there. You'll tell me all day, I'm never gonna date again, and I'm never gonna do this. You're gonna have a day that you're gonna get down. That sounds
Right.
don't do it. we all
That's true.
we all say good relationships, bad relationships. I'm never gonna do it, and then 3-4 years down the line, you're back at it. So I always tell them it's okay to feel that way, but let me make sure you have the tools or knowing that you can come back to me when you're ready.
Mm.
And then after that, I'm just open to them to make sure they have their ongoing support when they need it. And then also when it comes to their outbreaks management, I help them figure out exactly what's causing their outbreaks and then
Uh-huh.
offer them my products with Vanquish Care, which is all topical outbreaks that help with the itching, burning, discomfort, everything externally. So now
Wow.
they're dealing with everything they're dealing with, trying to manage it all. They can manage those symptoms because sometimes the symptoms alone can cause people to spiral
Mm.
and they
Mm.
can't process what's really going on.
Can you share how your products like the Ultimate Bundle support people during outbreaks?
The biggest thing is it gives you the confidence to move forward. And most people like it's a product though. Absolutely. The same way that you find a product that you want the confidence to move forward in life or look pretty or whatever, or feel good or smell good. That's exactly what these products do. It gives you the relief that you need. It's instant relief. And I know some people like it's instant. Yes. It instantly stop itching, burning, whatever. So now
Hmm.
you can deal with the psychological piece of it because herpes is more mental than it is physical. Yes,
Okay.
still deal with outbreaks, but it's the mental piece they struggle with the most. And most people are like, I keep having outbreaks or I keep, scared of having outbreaks, but the stress is going to cause it. So now I tell people, let me give you something where even if it happens to you, you have something to give you peace of mind while you deal with that, because the psychological piece is going to take you longer to handle than me helping you get rid of an outbreak.
That's true. You know what? One thing we don't realize, that darn stress is a killer. No
That is
matter no
already
matter what you're dealing with in your life, stress, oh my, just stress just compounds it. I mean, it can trigger anything when you're.
anything, anything and everything. And that's the biggest thing with herpes. A lot of people don't even understand that, is that herpes is on the nerve endings.
Mm,
Thing that's going to trigger your nerves is going to go, it
mm,
can hit the virus and they say, oh, so you got a problem with me, basically. You got
right.
yourself, so I got a problem with you, and it flares. And if anybody know anything about any skin conditions, most of it's in the nerve endings. It's in your nerves. So now your
Right.
or your immune system is the thing that causes it to continue to flare. So I tell people, now you have something to, you have confidence that's going to help you have that relief you need while you're trying to really get the part that takes the longest. That takes
Mm,
almost getting confidence back in yourself, loving yourself again, getting confident in moving forward and dating, figuring out, okay, exactly how I'm going to maneuver this in my life, especially with everything that's going on in the world now. How do I
right.
deal with that and go to work? How do I deal with that and my kids? How do I deal with that and what's going on in the world? Just trying to manage it all when life is happening. So that's where the products truly come into to play, to make sure you have peace of mind while you continue to live your normal life.
What has been the most rewarding part of your journey as a coach and entrepreneur in your space?
When people come back and tell me, Belize, it happened for me. Like, I'm in the relationship. The disclosure went well. I finally got my confidence back. That makes me so happy because they be distraught. I get it. They come
Um,
to me and they're falling apart. I see people at their absolute worst. And I'm the one who tell them, I believe me when I tell you it's gonna work out. Believe me, I'm telling you he's gonna stay. I believe me, tell you she's not gonna say what you think they're gonna say. And they come back and they say, I said, I told you. I told you it was gonna go well. I knew you was gonna
no,
be married. I knew you was gonna have the kids. I knew you were gonna get over this hump that you thought you would never get over. That is the most fulfilling thing. It's not something that some people I can display to everybody all the time. But when they come to me, I was like, boom, that's what I wanted. So now I'm able to give that to a person, every chance I get.
that's beautiful. You know, a lot of times, people, there's just like that hidden secret, keep it closed behind the doors, and it it's not important. It's not a big deal, but it is, because, like you said, I mean, it's really mental to knowing that you have this virus. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and knowing how it could affect your life in the long run. So
Mm-hmm.
when people think, oh, some of the things that you were naming out there, I mean, that person's this and that person's that, whatever, you don't realize how much that individual is going through.
Agreed.
And you know what, that is one thing, what, the name calling, the labeling, and all of this, I mean, I just despise that so much, because we don't realize how we're causing so much pain and destruction to that individual, on top of what they're already going through. So
Agreed.
so we thank the STD Life Coach for all that she's doing to help people get through this. We do. As a STD Life Coach, we talked about herpes. What are some of the other things that you deal with going through this?
Honestly, I'll be honest. I only focus on herpes.
Okay, because that's where your expertise is.
Expertise. Plus, on top of that, that's the one STD. Number one, they do not test for. They still
Mm,
do not put that on your standard test. So when you go in, it's typically gonorrhea, chlamydia, HIV, syphilis, trichomoniasis.
mm,
Okay, and
uh-huh.
see depending on where you're located, we'll put all that. Depending on where you're located, your test can go up and down. But herpes is still not on there. So as
Mm,
common as herpes is, it's like 1 out of 4 people who have herpes, 80% of people do not even realize they have it. Out of the 1 out of 4, 80% of them don't even know. Okay. So with that being said, now we still have this gap of people who end up contracting herpes and don't have support. Because number one, you're not being tested. And then on top of not testing, they're not doing this general education on it. Like we see on HIV, gonorrhea, chlamydia,
mhm,
things like
mhm.
that. And that kind of goes into the thing of, it's common. It's not that bad. It's a skin condition. These things you'll hear from your medical professional. I'm not making this up. This stuff you'll hear from your medical professional, it's not the end of the world. You're not, it won't cause any additional, things that happen in your body. It won't get you to a place where you can't have children. Things of that nature, so they don't focus on it, which I feel like is still not fair, because it is something that you can pass to another individual.
Right.
Durable, and also, most importantly, it takes a toll on the mental health. But since they don't see it's a big deal overall, it can cause massive harm to anyone, then they don't do it. So I made it my business to stay right here, because every day people come to me and they're still feeling the same way I felt when I found out 15 years ago. It's been 15 years and people are still feeling the same way. That means something is not changing when it comes. After them being diagnosed, medical professionals are still having a gap on making sure they realize not just that it's common, that number one, I'm going to make sure you get the information you need and also get you through, so now you can live a normal life. But that's why I'm more of the aftercare. That's why when we kind of talking before we got on here, he's like, I never heard of it, because I'm the after. I'm the one. That's why I'm the life coach. I'm the one who
Right. You're dealing with it after the after effects. Are you seeing a huge gap of education in our communities?
It's a huge gap across all. And that's so weird to hear, but it is across all communities. Like, I talk to all races. It's a gap. It's a gap. It's so interesting. You would think, okay, like we think about HIV. HIV is a gap in our community. You see it big in our community, or depending on your sexual preference, you see a big gap there. But not here. It's just a gap. And yeah, you'll see some numbers and things like that. They'll say, African American women are number ones who get herpes. I don't believe that is absolute truth. That's just me. I went to school with statistics. I don't like it. I don't like how they go about these statistic numbers, because how can you come up with a statistic when you don't even do a global?
They're not. You're right. Well, it depends. When I think about the statistics, it depends on what they're trying to get at the moment.
Absolutely.
So that's exactly what it is. If they have a purpose for getting something that they want, they're going to say, in this community, or in the females or male population, it depends on what they're trying to get.
And that's why I said for across the board, because when I look at the numbers still now across the board, they still don't have any updated numbers for 2024. Typically it's a year behind from what it's still nothing updated on herpes. Only if you go to certain, it's interesting. Most of the numbers I get to see is in the UK. Another country, so it's crazy where you have to go to another country to get a little bit more accurate numbers, but those are not our numbers.
Right.
So it's sad to say that we still haven't got to the place, even though if you consider it not being serious, why not give us information?
That's true.
If it's not true, it still should be something that we should have numbers, and we should know, and should we able to prevent or things like that. But it's nothing in place. That's why I say with herpes, is one thing is you have to be educated. Without education, you will be oblivious until it happened, which happened to me. I didn't know much about herpes. The only thing I knew about herpes was from somebody who was taken advantage of. You know what I mean? I didn't hear got it. It was because of the situation she was put in that and that's how some people heard. They heard it that way, or it was a young lady or a guy who was choosing to be promiscuous and things of that nature. So you always in a negative place. You didn't hear from a place of, I'm in a relationship, we've been together for 2 or 3 years, or I've been married and we've been married for a while, and we didn't, neither one of us knew about this status prior, and one of us gave it to each other. And now we think. I talk to married couples all the time. They think they cheated. I said, breathe. That doesn't mean anybody cheated. Breathe. Somebody probably walked in this door with this, and y'all didn't know it.
That's true. That is true.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Look, could ruin a perfect good relationship, thinking that someone cheated when they didn't.
Yeah, but sadly to say, and that's the sad part, because some people do. So it just adds to it. And I was like, that's sad. You talk to couples where that's the first thing I tell people. I said, don't assume they cheated. I'm not a strong people like everybody cheat. I'm not like that.
Right.
I don't believe that. I don't believe every certain race. I don't believe that. That's just not something I want to believe because I don't fall in it. So why would I uphold it? So when I tell ladies that, or I tell guys that, they're like, "But this happened in our relationship." I said, "Okay, now I see why you feeling the way you're feeling, but it's still that." I said that's still not 100% true. Just because that happened before doesn't mean this is what they brung here. And I always kind of reel them back in and tell them, "Do you know your status?" So
Yeah.
when people talk to me, I don't focus so much on their partner. I focus on you being educated because now you have it. You need to learn how and what and how to not navigate it. You
That's
can't focus
true.
on that person.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you can't deal with what happened in the past.
Mm.
That's true. Let's look at some of the comments. I am Stacy Thomas said hello. Great information.
Thank you. Thank you.
She said it's a blessing that you're speaking about it and helping people. Yes, 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 yes.
I love doing it, y'all. Y'all have no clue. I'm 10 years in doing this and I absolutely love it. I love it.
Wow, wow. Um, who would come for you for coaching? How do they know about you? Is it in the medical profession? Are you getting referrals from the medical profession, or how does it work?
I'm more customer to I go to the customers. I go to my people who are looking for me. So social media, I have literally been on social media the whole time. Now I have some medical professionals I work with, and they're typically counselors because
Hmm.
counselors typically have women that come into the office to get support.
Right.
So that's interesting. So I started working with my counselors. So counselors will refer people to me, or vice versa. I refer people to counselors that I know who are looking for additional support. But typically, I'm on social media. You will find me on
Okay.
at Coach Belize. You'll find me here on Facebook at Belize Spivey or STD Life Coach. You can find me on YouTube. So have over 400 videos on YouTube. That's where I
Okay.
started. So on YouTube, it's ST Life Coach or Coach Belief over there as well. I'm also on TikTok. So it's like my whole thing is I kind of stay where people are looking.
Good.
And
That's great, especially when it's not being tested when you go into the doc in your doctor's appointments, and it's not even being discussed. So why would they even think about referring them to someone like you? I mean,
still, a lot of them still don't know who I exist. I love it because many of my clients go back and say, "Do you know about her?" and blah 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 blah. I don't have even doctors like, "You know what? My client told me about you," or I had counselors say, "You know, I'm reaching out because they keep telling me about you," and I was like, "I'm so grateful." I'm grateful for that. You know, sometimes you got to allow the patient be the one who.
right. Well, they need to, you know what? They need to be inviting you in, doing in services and talking about all this.
Okay, let's go. I'm in Atlanta. Best believe we need it. We need
Yes, yes. They should not be skipping over you. The medical
it.
profession should be having you in their offices talking about this.
And that's the goal. That is the huge goal because at the end of the day, I do want to support the medical industry. It's
Yeah.
only so much they can do. I have a really good relationship with my OBGYNs over the years and told them what I do and things like that. And they're like, we need you because we're overwhelmed. We are
Mm,
super overwhelmed. We're just trying to make sure we get as many clients in here because we're not dealing with STIs alone. We're dealing with them with other conditions and babies. They're dealing with a lot, ladies. I'm just going to keep it honest. They're dealing with a lot when you go into an OBGYN office. You're not dealing
right.
with things. So with that,
That's true. That is true.
they only have 15 to 20 minutes probably to work with you, depending on what's going on with you. You know, it's a little bit longer
Mm,
depending on what your scenario is. But if you're just coming in for routine and just an SCI panel, you're going to be in there for 20, 15 minutes most with your doctor. Outside of that, you're getting everything else done. But with the doctor alone, you probably have a good 15, 20 minutes. And you
mm.
got to get everything in.
And you know what? And they probably don't know as much information as you do about it.
They
So
don't.
they need a professional like you to be able to help guide their patients through this situation.
Yeah. And that's the thing about medical professionals. Now, have nothing negative to say because without them, we will fall apart. No lie.
That's true.
Really, so I'm never going to speak so against them because at the end of the day, they're only. I tell people, doctors or medical professionals, they had to learn it. Okay, they're still
Hmm.
learning, and if the CDC or whoever they're learning these things from are not updating them or they're not getting
Right.
don't know. So as much as we're going to them, I'm hoping they know everything. What they're not taught, they don't know. And the same thing is for us. So I
That's
tell it is
true.
anybody, if you go to your OBGYN office, or guys, if you go to your doctor's office and they don't know, give them a little grace. Okay.
Yeah.
Give them a little grace. That means they probably never had a patient come in with that type of information or that situation. And also say, hey, since you don't know, where can I go? Can you refer me to a specialist? And they
Mm.
don't have no problem. They're like, you know what? I know another doctor. Go here.
Yeah, and we hope the majority of them do that because we give them some grace, but the patient is scared, they're
Yeah,
sick. I mean, of course they're going to be upset that their doctor doesn't know the answers. So, yeah, it goes both ways there though.
it
And
does.
and as you were speaking about earlier, the statistics aren't correct, and if the statistics aren't correct, of course the doctors don't have the right information. So there's a lot going on there. What
Yeah.
message do you want to leave with anyone newly diagnosed or struggling with herpes today?
Reach out to me today. DM me. I answer you. That's truly the thing. If
Mhm.
you see this, DM me. I am the DM queen. I will answer it. Ask her. She DM me and I answer pretty quickly. I will answer the DM. Like, if you want to get a product, message me. Ask the questions because the biggest thing is you being scared to ask is holding you up.
Right.
You have a question and I have an answer. What you will have to ask, I've been through, or I know it, or I can
Mhm.
give you the information. I just don't want you to think you're by yourself because right now you can't look to the left and the right and know a person have herpes. You won't know just knowing. But
Right.
now you know an individual with herpes who is standing up and speaking to you. Just reach out to me. So
Right.
just DM
And
me.
and speak a little bit on, because you know how some people are. I mean, this is some lady on social media, and I'm going to reach out to her and talk about that. Speak a little bit about HIPAA and confidentiality for those that may be worried about something like that. Also.
Let me tell you something. I'm 10 years in, baby. You can look me up. I ain't told nobody business. First off, and that's because at the end of the day, because of what I do, I do have background in counseling. I just put that out there. I do have a background in counseling. So I do uphold counseling ways. Code of conduct, I still hold
Yes.
to the court, even though I don't physically practice, I still uphold that. Okay. And I understand if you're nervous, just watch me long enough. Because
Hmm.
sometimes I don't did it with people. I'm like, let me watch. Let me make sure. Let me read her comments. Let me
Right. Right.
confident in that. But I'll let you know, you won't have any worries. What you tell me is what you tell me, and I'm here to support you and help you because number one, you're already feeling ashamed. Why would I add to your shame? Why would
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
if you're
Right. But I just wanted to touch that because, we got so much going on in the world right now, and people feel that they can say and do whatever they want nowadays. So, you know what? We know you the go-to person, and I mean, this is your expertise,
yes.
Coach Elise. So I just wanted you to touch on that for a moment. Again, tell our audience where they can find you again.
All right. So you can find me here on Facebook at Belize Spivey or STD Life Coach. So I got two pages. Also, you can find me on Instagram as Coach Belize. Also, you can find me on YouTube as STD Life Coach Belize.
Okay, wonderful.
Or
And
my website,
and did you have one?
vanquishcare.com if you want products.
Say that one more time. I almost cut you off.
www.vanquishcare.com if you're looking for products.
Wonderful, wonderful. And I'd like to ask you, how has your experience been with Swagger Magazine thus far?
Amazing. Like I was telling you before, I have been following this magazine way before COVID. It was a long time ago. I had the honor of somebody reaching out to me and putting me in the magazine. Literally, my story was in the magazine. I think I still have the magazine around here somewhere. I don't even know where it is. But I wish I would have found it before we got on here. But on there, my story was on the front cover. So that was my first magazine that I was able to be featured in, and I'm still very grateful for that.
Wonderful,
Hmm.
wonderful, wonderful. It was such a pleasure to have you here with us today, Coach Belize. And I look forward to hearing more about what you're doing out there for our communities, keeping everyone safe and keeping everyone abreast of all the information about taking care of their health if they're dealing with herpes or any other STDs. Thank you for all that you do.
No, thank you so much, and can't wait to talk to you again.
Yes, wonderful. Catch you next time.
Bye.
And thank you. And thank you all for joining us today here on What's Going On. And we'll catch you next time.